Hi, welcome to this episode of Business Rules on Accessibility. I'm Nicole.
I'm Monica.
And today we are talking about what accessibility means for your website. Sometimes this is being called as 508 compliance. But what it really is if you've ever heard like Target has this multi-million-dollar lawsuit because blind people can't get around their website. That's part of what accessibility is. And so there is blind, there is visually impaired, but I will also say these days in the DEI age, it is everything from making it friendly for autism, making like there's all this list of different ways that you can make your website friendly and experience like an easy experience for that. Now, unfortunately, there is no one size fits all because what works for one,
what works for someone who's neurodivergent does not work for someone who is blind.
Exactly. So let's talk through some basics. This is one of those things that if you have a particular audience set, you want to dive deeply into their needs. But so let's talk some general on just the usability, because what usability is often it's using screen readers, larger things, and so you want to set your website up that the screen readers can do that. Now, as a bonus, you're also usually going to get some SEO juice out of this because Google bots read the website the same way these screen readers do. So win-win, right?
Yep.
But number one is something called alt tags. This is something that goes on your images. So most of the time, most website images, they either come off your camera or they're from stock, and they're basically image 1, 2, 3, right? You load that up, and it says nothing about what the image is. And so even if you have an alt tag of image 1, 2, 3, it doesn't help. What you want to do is take a moment and say, what is in this image? Describe it, put it in as an alt tag so the screen readers understand what the image is all about.
And simple, 2 women talking. That's all you need. You don't need to go into any further description.
Exactly. So one thing specifically for visually impaired people is also color contrast. Now, this is not somebody that is totally blind, but this is reduced vision. This is perhaps an older generation that it's getting a little bit older. But the idea is that if you have, let's say, a soft blue as your main logo contact, and then you put white text on it, there's not gonna, like, that white text is going to get lost. It's not going to stand out.
That's hard for me to read.
There's that, but and then you add people on the different spectrum, color blindness, little things. Right. And so there are actually color contrast checkers, right? And this is especially, I went through this exercise with one of our clients. We had created a new logo for her. We were on the way of doing a website, and she went, hang on, one of my big clients deals with the blind population. This color contrast isn't quite, it's not quite enough. So we had to go back and change those things. Interesting. So you can check it against colors, logos, and make sure that you bump up the contrast on your website. Okay. Next up is fonts. Both you've probably seen some of these tools where you can increase the size of font on all of that. Yeah. That's one of them. But also the idea of just making it easier to use. There are some kind of scripts out there that they're really fun, but I mean, even like most of them, I can't make out what they're saying on some of these things.
I was trying to read something on a guy's sweatshirt in line behind me at Whole Foods yesterday, and I couldn't read it. And he and I both started laughing. He's like, "Oh, it's my friends," and I'm like, "Your friend did not choose a good font."
So it's just making it kind of clear and easy. Now, this doesn't mean you have to necessarily stop being creative, right? Because you can put in different colors or different bolding, or and there are serif and sans serif, so you can do a little bit, but just make it that it's very easy to read and not confusing. The last tip on this is that there are plugins that you can use. I mean, there are websites that you can do contractors. There are people that specialize in, this is their job to do 508 compliance. But if it's one of those things that you think it's a good idea and you want to protect yourself, there are a number of plugins. When I say plugins, I'm talking about WordPress websites generally. There are other tools for other things, but there are plugins that can help automatically add some layers of parts and pieces, as well as giving you the abilities to increase your fonts, do some of those.
Will they flag things for you to say, hey, you need to fix this?
Yes.
Fabulous.
So different tools that you can use. It's not going to replace the human touch, but it's an interesting thing to keep in mind as a general good best practice, but especially if you have an audience that has some kind of
Extra
lessons.
need.
Thank you.
They have an extra need.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right. So we hope this gave you kind of a quick overview of accessibility. If you have questions or more about it, we love comments. But otherwise, we will see you next time. Thanks for joining us.
Bye.